Here's a little bit of information on aftermarket fairings. From a quick glance, you guys probably won't be able to tell what's aftermarket, what's original. But to tell you guys, the front cowl here is aftermarket. I bought this fairing off a guy from on eBay. I'm not sure if he's there anymore. There are a couple vendors on eBay who offer the aftermarket fairings. Majority of these aftermarket fairings come from Hong Kong, and they are made to order. And what do I mean by made to order? If you look closely on their eBay page, you'll probably see fairing or pieces will be shipped 10 business days after payment. This is because they don't have an inventory of fairings. The guys in Hong Kong, they send a request up to their main factory, I'm guessing in China, and they custom mold these units. Custom mold and custom paint. And from what I was told, these are plastic injection, pressure injection. I'm not sure about the correct term, but they told me something along the lines of that. And as far as the molds, what they do is they take original fairings apart from the original bikes, and they make a mold from there. So that's how they get all their mounting points and drill or screw holes and all that. So now, being made in China, I mean, we all know their quality is not 100%. It's not even close to OEM, but it is a good alternative to compared to pricing. It's a good alternative to getting your bike back on the streets again. The one I have here, which isn't too bad, I would give it a 9 out of 10 in terms of fitting, a 9 out of 10 in terms of paint. So fitting wasn't that bad. A lot of people make the mistake that their fairings don't fit because they're aftermarket. Some people make the mistake that people make is usually when they crash their bike, they automatically assume that their brackets are all straight. But you got to keep in mind that once you crash the bike, sometimes the brackets may be bent somewhere that you don't know of. It could be up in the fairing stay, it could be where the fairing stay attaches to the frame, it could be another fairing bracket that's bent, causing your aftermarket fairing not to fit. So you got to make sure that you fix all those up before fitting the aftermarket, otherwise you're going to have a hard time. Now, some aftermarket fairings, yeah, they're originally tough to fit anyway, because they might have drilled the screws wrong or whatnot. So you got to do a little bit of work yourself. Now, you got to make sure when you're fitting these fairings, these aftermarket fairings, that you don't put a lot of stress on them. As I just found out on this one right here, it just cracked, and this was probably a high stress point. I remember when I was installing this, these two screws were a little bit tough to fit on. Other than that, mounting the fairings on the inside, there are a couple mounting points on the inside, which wasn't too bad. I mean, they actually fit right in. I was really surprised that it went in that easy. The mounting tabs on these aftermarket fairings are, I would say they're okay. They're not OEM quality. There is a bit of concern that they might break off. So just be careful, don't over torque them, because they're basically they're basically a couple tubes that come out of the fairing, and they glued it on. so I'm not sure how tight they are. I've heard of some people having them break off even applying a little bit of torque. I've been lucky so far. Fitting wise, you can see there's a bit of a gap from the front to the back. The contour is not really the best, and there's a big gap here as well. And one thing that's been puzzling me for quite a bit, I tried to do some research on this, but I can't seem to find anything, are these holes. These holes were not there in the original fairing. Okay, they actually drilled 4 holes, which I'm unsure of. Maybe it's a European spec bike that require these holes. I don't know. My bike is a Canadian bike. So if any of you European guys happen to stumble across this video and can tell me what those 4 holes are for, that would be great. Me and my buddies just joke about it. They're speed holes. Each hole adds 10 horsepower, which it's a good story to tell. But you know, jokes aside. Anyway, paint. This fairing was painted for me when I bought it off eBay. They advertised it as a Kawasaki green, which isn't too bad. If you stand from afar, you wouldn't be able to tell that the paint is a little bit off. It is a little bit off. It's not really noticeable unless I point it out to you. They use a very thin layer of paint. So if you look closely, you can see the bottom layer of primer. So you can see how thin that is, if you can see through to the primer. And the problem with this is it makes the paint color a little lighter. But again, it's not really noticeable. The material is a lot thinner than OEM. You can make the comparison here. You can see this is original and this is aftermarket. You can see it's probably about half as thin. Looks like it's half as thin, I don't know. But you know, for the price, can't complain. It's a little more flimsier up here, but it shouldn't be much of a concern. So I hope this video has helped anyone who's deciding to buy aftermarket fairings. I'm just trying to provide as much information as I know. So don't be afraid to buy aftermarket fairings. They're great for what they're worth. Although you will need to put a bit more work into it. They won't fit like OEM. Overall, once you get it all fitted, you should be happy with the results. I'm pretty happy with what I got here. I mean, I paid about $60 for this, whereas compared to the original, I think the original is about $300. So the price difference, can't complain. And at least it got me riding again. Later on in the week, I'm going to be taking this fairing off and putting the original fairing back on. So I'll make another video of how this fairing is mounted to the bike. They do use a little bit of different mounting hardware. In terms of screws, they use machine screws rather than the self-tapping screws. So I'll make a video on that, so subscribe to my channel. I will be making more videos as I go along. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. Yeah, speed holes. Definitely speed holes.